On the news, President Tinubu writes, National Assembly seeks confirmation of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede.
The Senate to commend the gallantry of our soldiers and pray that God will keep them safe as they strive to keep Nigeria one.
NTA's mandate as a national broadcaster is unique and irreplaceable, Director General of NTA tells House of Representatives Committee on Restructuring of Agencies.
The management is of the view that there is still need for us to stand alone so that we can remain focused and also deliver.
Plus, Deputy Speaker canvasses immediate humanitarian relief to victims of ecological disaster in the southeast. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NTA Parliament News. I'm Amina Saidu. Senate has commended the Nigerian military for what it described as gallantry, its operations in combating terrorism, citing last Sunday's repelling and elimination of Boko Haram insurgents who came in their hundreds to carry out an attack in Kuka local government area of Borno State. This commendation came just as the legislators received President Tinubu's request for the confirmation of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The Senate to commend the gallantry of our soldiers and pray that God will keep them safe as they strive to keep Nigeria one and stop the insurgents who are trying to divide the country. May Almighty Allah bless them and keep them whilst fighting for our cause.
The prayers from the Senate President was in reaction to the matter of privilege raised by the Senate Chief Whip, acknowledging the gallantry of the security personnel following their swift reaction to a security breach in northern Borno.
As a result of the gallantry, zeal, determination and patriotism exhibited by the Nigerian military, they were able to not only repel the attack on that local government, they succeeded in neutralizing half of those Boko Haram that came fully armed, determined to take over that local government, and then seize most of the sophisticated weapons that they came along with.
The Senate thereafter mandated the Committee on Army to immediately screen the acting Chief of Army Staff to pave way for his confirmation. Senate has passed for second reading bill to establish Federal University of Agriculture in Kura, Kano State, and bill seeking the inclusion of 20% of cassava by producers of edible flour.
The use of cassava in wheat can significantly reduce the cost of importation of wheat, which presently stands at over $3 billion.
We can cultivate wheat in the northern part of the country and some other areas, but not like cassava. Cassava is everywhere. It's in a national interest. Look, this is good for us.
If we pass a law, say that cassava flour must be included in flour production, who will implement it?
Meanwhile, Senate has corrected its error of citing Section 147 regarding the removal of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
This resolution affects only the correction of the wrong constitutional citation. Senate resolves to seek the concurrence of the House of Representatives to this resolution in accordance with paragraph 17.3 of Part 1 in the 5th schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and Section 22.3, Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act.
Away from plenary, a delegation of the Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of China was hosted by the leadership of the Senate towards consolidating existing relationship.
Assist us to ensure that the Chinese government keeps its pledge to Africa during the 2024 forecast to increase its inflow and aid in other aspects to Africa and Nigeria in particular.
China sincerely hopes Nigeria will achieve greater progress on the path of development and reform.
The Senate President last week hosted the newly appointed Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Dunhai. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Similarly, President Tinubu also requested the House of Representatives to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede as the Chief of Army Staff. The House at Tuesday's plenary also passed resolutions seeking protection of transmission lines across the country to forestall possible blackout owing to vandalism. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikwen tells us more.
Lawmakers adorn orange mufflers in solidarity with 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. President Tinubu's request for the confirmation of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as substantive Chief of Army Staff comes with a presidential endorsement.
His qualification, experience and contributions to the Nigerian Army and the nation at large makes him well suited for this very important role.
Towing the line of the Senate, the House passed a resolution to invoke relevant constitutional provisions for the removal of the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Umar Danladi, over misconduct.
Forwarding an address supported by 2/3 majority of the Senate and House of Representatives, which shall be acted upon by the President for the removal of Mr. Yakubu Danladi Umar.
The position already taken on bipartisan basis by the Senate should be respected by this salute chamber.
Motions to protect electricity transmission lines and resuscitate an abandoned water resources project in Ogun State were adopted.
Urge the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation to complete the first phase of the regional water resource project at Owiwi in Ewekoro local government area of Ogun State.
At Ola Akpata in Awoda East local government area of Rivers State, some hoodlums went and vandalized a section of the lines. Urge the federal government through the Ministry of Interior to urgently provide adequate security for these transmission towers across the country.
While receiving a delegation of the Chinese National People's Congress, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas pledged legislative incentives that will attract more Chinese investments to Nigeria.
The House wishes to leverage the APC's expertise to develop legal frameworks that support sustainable infrastructure financing and management, particularly in rail transport and energy.
This will not only create solid guarantee for China's modernization, but it will also push forward the building of an open world economy.
There was advocacy for strengthening of the Nigeria-China Parliamentary Friendship Group for robust bilateral relations. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority has explained that NTA's mandate as a national broadcaster is unique and irreplaceable. Director General Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos presented NTA's position before the House of Representatives Committee on Restructuring of Federal Government Agency, which commended the public broadcaster for promoting national unity. The report. The committee's focus is on evaluating functions, restructuring and looking at the potentials of merging several parastatals into more unified bodies. This is aimed at eliminating duplication of functions and optimize resources.
Is the implementation of our policies. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm hearing your own commission, even though I'm a member here. I participated, but in terms of activity, I'm seeing you for the first time. I don't know your impact. And that's why you have to convince us. Nobody can wake up just one day and say scrap, march without following the due process of the law, amending, enacting, and what I do. That's the essence of we have to listen to every agency that are here, make submission, then the committee will sit down, put a report, look at the laws, amend, enact where necessary, then push forward for necessary action to be taken.
Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Abdulhamid Dembos, gave an insight on the implications of the proposed merger of media organizations.
The orientation is quite different because in television it is about, yes, about what you see and also what you hear. And the orientation has been from the inception that the two organizations are quite different. It was one that was born out of or carved out of FRCN, but NTA has always been a standalone organization. So I'm of the view, and of course the management is of the view that there is still need for us to stand alone so that we can remain focused and also deliver.
Also in attendance were representatives from Ministry of Water Resources, the National Senior Secondary School Education Commission, the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, the Center for Management Development, and the National Productivity Center, among other bodies. The committee plans to continue engaging relevant stakeholders with necessary steps taken to ensure that restructuring efforts align with broader government objectives for enhanced service delivery. The National Assembly has engaged the executive on plans and strategy on how to achieve the targets of the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper 2025 to 2027. At the session convened by the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance, the Minister of Finance, in company of 2 other ministers and heads of revenue-generating agencies, explained the performance of the economy so far, which informed the 47.9 trillion budget for the 2025 fiscal year. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has more.
The interaction is part of the foundation laying for the 2025 budget and fiscal plans for the next 3 years.
The National Assembly is unwavering in its commitment to fostering an economy that will make Nigeria a beacon of prosperity in Africa and beyond.
We can build a resilient fiscal framework capable of supporting our developmental aspirations.
Only in the interest of this country, and this country must move forward.
The economic team is confident that, going by performance of revenue-generating agencies thus far, the 34.82 trillion naira revenue projection is achievable.
Under His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria has changed fundamentally so that productivity would increase, so that the economy would grow, jobs will be created, and poverty reduced.
The AKK project too would bring up companies along the corridor.
We've generated a total of 5,352 billion. For 2025, it is projected that we will expect to make an increase of 20%.
In general, we've exceeded all the targets set for non-oil tax, which is attestation to the impact of the reform being led by Mr. President, that the diversification of our economy from oil is yielding.
Concerns were, however, raised on the 2025 deficit as stakeholders called for mechanisms to block leakages for accountability.
Efficiency in electricity is critical to whatever you are going to do.
We are now in November on the verge of receiving another budget. Level of implementation of the budget remains at dismal 30%.
Suggestions were also made on the need to unlock more revenue sources to avoid borrowing. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has drawn attention to the humanitarian crisis posed by ecological disasters in the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. At a roundtable with international non-governmental organizations, Kalu advocates synergy to provide immediate humanitarian relief for more than 260,000 persons displaced by natural disaster and violence in the southeast. He stressed that the crisis is not just a regional issue, but a national challenge.
Meanwhile, natural disasters like gully erosions have destroyed homes, leaving little to return to. This crisis demands not only immediate intervention, but also sustainable strategies to restore stability and to restore hope.
Climate-induced flooding and pockets of insecurity in the southeast amplify the need for coordinated multi-sectoral responses.
We make sure that some of these issues are being captured in our 2025 budget to see how far we can go to ensure that our people who are living in the southeast are being considered.
Members of the Southeast Caucus in the National Assembly, as well as heads of government agencies, appealed for increased budgetary allocation to address the ecological and humanitarian challenges in the region. This is NTA Parliament News. We now take a break. The news continues shortly.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Welcome back. The future of cancer treatment in Nigeria is looking brighter as the country is set to establish 6 cutting-edge cancer treatment centers nationwide. This is coming from the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pati, during an oversight visit by the National Assembly Joint Committee on Health. Ignatius Nko tells us more.
The National Assembly Joint Committee on Health arrived at the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare for their maiden oversight visit. Received by the Coordinating Minister, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, the visit underscored the National Assembly's renewed commitment to holding the ministry accountable for its mandate. Led by Senator Epalibo Harry Banigo, chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, the legislators came with clear intentions to assess the ministry's financial performance, ensure compliance with budgetary allocations, and identify hurdles in delivering critical health services to Nigerians.
An audited financial account for the year 2022. If it's available, we would like to have a copy of it.
Professor Pate presented a detailed report on the ministry's achievements, among them the commitment in the treatment of diseases such as malaria, typhoid, and the groundbreaking cancer treatment centers, made possible by the full disbursement of capital components of the 2023 health budget and 20% release and utilization of the 2024 capital allocation so far. He also noted strides in expanding national health insurance coverage to improve accessibility and affordability for millions of Nigerians.
And by May 2025, 3 of the 6 cancer infrastructure equipment will begin to be opened.
But also in your budget, I believe you have something for cancer treatment.
And we'll ensure that that is factored in if we're to submit anything in the future.
For typhoid fever, it is out there as much as malaria. I just want to know what you're trying to do about that.
There are treatments that are available that can deal with it. Linked to it, there is prevalence of antimicrobial resistance because people are using antibiotics anyhow.
The minister stressed the ministry's dedication to implementing the National Health Act of 2014, which continues to serve as a blueprint for health sector reforms. Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
In another development, the Jamata Inland Water Port Project in Kogi State holds a great potential to drive the economic growth of Nigeria when completed. House of Representatives Committee on Inland Waterways is therefore calling for a speedy completion of the project to serve this purpose. This was the focus of the committee's oversight to the National Inland Waterways Authority headquarters in Lokoja. Jonathan Omajali tells us more.
The National Inland Waterways Authority has had a demanding year, playing a crucial role in flood response efforts across the country while working to improve safety and reduce boat accidents on waterways. The visit by the House Committee to NIWA's headquarters provided an opportunity for the authority to showcase its achievements and address challenges.
I would like to assure these honorable committee members that NIWA remains committed to its mandate of developing and regulating Nigerian inland waterways to stimulate economic growth and improve transportation network in Nigeria.
The House Committee discussed key issues such as waterway safety, infrastructure development, and commended the authority for its efficient resource management. They also called for swift completion of the Jamata Inland River Port project and the dredging of the country's waterways.
And we are calling on the contractor handling this port for experience action on it, and we're also drawing that sufficient funds will be made available to ensure that this local Yamata port is conclusively constructed.
After the discussion, the committee, accompanied by NIWA officials, visited the project site.
The government should, as a matter of priority, give the necessary attention to this project, considering the fact that this project is located at a very strategic place in this country. A couple of weeks, the budget will be laid before National Assembly. So what we are trying to say, when we see some of these facilities and we see the predicament, and we engage the necessary stakeholders, we should be able to say now that the 2025 budget is about to be, brought before National Assembly, we ensure that there's adequate provision to cater for the project.
This port leads to Paro, it leads to Bori, even Onitsha. So this is a very strategic center. So if we have enough fund, and the contractor is being enhanced, definitely, at least we will finish this project in a quick manner.
Upon completion, the port is expected to contribute significantly to the nation's economic growth. In Lokoja, Jonathan Omajali, NTA News.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has expressed willingness to reward excellence and promote national cohesion. Senator Akpabio stated this when he received winners of the just concluded 2024 NILS National Quiz Competition led by the Director General Professor Abubakar Suleiman. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
At a historic and brief ceremony, winners were formally introduced to the President of the Senate.
We present to you the overall winner of the 9th edition of National Assembly Quiz Competition. I thought this children a round of applause.
The visit turned out to be a unique opportunity for Enitona High School, Rivers State, to have idea on the workings of the National Assembly. Senate President Godswill Akpabio commended the resilience exhibited by students in answering legislative questions, assuring more legislative support to the education sector. Cash rewards of undisclosed amounts were presented to the first position and runner-ups of the competition. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And stakeholders in the energy sector are advocating effective legislation that will bring about stable and affordable energy for Nigerians. This was during a seminar on rising energy costs, issues and other ways forward, organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies in Abuja. Again, Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The importance of energy to economic growth and development of every nation cannot be overstated. Nigeria has for decades been grappling with perennial energy crisis. Efforts are on by the present government for energy to be accessible, affordable, and sustainable for national development. Key players are here in partnership with the National Assembly to chart a way forward in addressing the rising costs in energy.
Despite these challenges, the increases in prices are coming at a time when the President bold reforms in the energy sector, which include the removal of subsidies for customers on Band A feeders of electricity consumption, and the removal of fuel subsidies are expected to translate into greater gains for the country.
Let me assure you that the Ministry of Power is committed to its mission of expediting national development by providing policies, systems, and structures which ensure delivery of reliable, functional, cost-effective, and power supply to Nigerians. As a commission, we are committed to seeing this sector stand on its feet, and what we mean by that is the ability to discharge its obligation to Nigerian citizens. And that is why, over the years, we've had so many regulations that try to give opportunities for investors to come and, put down their investments and create capacity in the country.
Stakeholders believe that far-reaching recommendations will be brought forward for a more sustainable path in the energy sector. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And that's our package this evening. You can follow us for news updates on our social media handles showing on your screen. Thanks for watching and do have a great evening. I am Amina Saidu.